Thank you, Mr Deputy President. Our native forests are vital to the survival of the many species of plants, animals and micro-organisms that make up our unique ecosystems, but they are at risk. In 2015, the World Wildlife Fund identified the shameful fact that eastern Australian temperate forests as the only deforestation front in any developed country in the world. Logging is the major driver of that deforestation. The New South Wales Government has made matters worse last year by replacing the Native Vegetation Act with land clearing laws that could see more trees removed on private land. But there are still opportunities to improve the situation and protect our forests on public lands. After almost 2 decades under the New South Wales and regional forest agreements, it's clear that governments have failed to establish a comprehensive, adequate and representative system of protected areas, and that destructive logging practices have worsened the state of our forests and threatened species. Not only is native forest logging unsustainable, it's unprofitable. For most of the past decade, the Forestry Commission's Native Logging Division has operated at a loss, while the Plantation Division has continued to operate profitably. It's time to recognise that the greatest values of our public native forests come from preserving them. Our national and state parks are the second most popular tourist attractions after our state beaches. More than 150,000 people are directly employed in tourism across New South Wales, and educational tourism is the fastest growing area in the tourism sector. Protecting our forests and promoting these wild places to domestic and international tourists, including ecotourism and Aboriginal cultural tourism, can deliver new regional employment opportunities. Mature and growing forests play an ongoing role in storing carbon and limiting the rise of greenhouse gas emissions. The state government has an opportunity to develop a framework to account for the impact of preserving public forests and allowing them to grow and capture more carbon. The valuable contribution of growing the state's forests to climate action could then be realised through the Federal Emissions Reductions Fund. Vulnerable species, including the iconic koala, are at risk of extinction unless we reverse the loss and fragmentation of their habitat. Mature forests with hollow-forming trees provide crucial habitat to hundreds of species of native fauna, including the greater glider and the sooty owl. I note that one of the first acts of the new Minister for Lands and Forestry, the Honourable Paul Toole, was to announce an expansion of the state's pine plantations. That is a welcome step. Responsibly managed plantation forestry to grow both softwoods and hardwoods can bring more forestry jobs to regions across the state and deliver the timber resources that we need. But much more needs to be done, and the key thing that the Minister and this government must do is to ensure the future of the state's public native forests. It's time to expand the reserve system, including the establishment of the Great Koala National Park and the Great Southern Forest. And it's time to recognise that the RFAs have failed. The logging of our public native forest hasn't been managed sustainably, and with a strong transition to the plantation industry, it's in fact now unnecessary. I urge the Minister to acknowledge the evidence from the conservation and ecology experts and accept the importance of protecting biodiversity and bring an end to logging in public native forests.
Mr. Deputy President.